Right, we continue with our special broadcast here on the SABC. The late Ambassador of South Africa to France, Nathi Mthethwa, he has been lauded by his colleagues in the diplomatic corps for the role that he played during his tenure in Paris. Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Ronald, Lamola, described him as someone who achieved deepening relations between South Africa and France. Lamola also says that Ambassador Mthethwa is counted as part of a generation that struck the final blow to apartheid and forcefully opened the door to freedom. We're going to continue to reflect on that role that he played in South Africa's political space. We're also going to look at some of the cultural rites of passage as well. For that, we're going to be joined by the Director for the Centre of Advancement of Non-Racialism and Democracy at the Nelson Mandela University, Professor Bheki Mngomezulu, as well as Mbuso Khoza, founder of Ijadu Le Afrika Centre for Arts. Good morning to the both of you. Mbuso, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for educating us and really taking us through the importance, significance of some of the rites of passage and rituals that we're seeing. You painted a rather succinct picture of what has happened since his spirit was fetched from the place of his passing and, of course, upon entering his homestead. And when we look at the role of the elders within the family, we look at the role of or the ancestors, the communication that's happening at this point. Talk to us about what is going to be happening as they leave the home, they enter the sports complex as well, how it's going to be managed in terms of government protocol as well, so there isn't a conflict of interest traditionally versus government. Yes.
No, I think there should be a balance between his role as a leader and his role as the member of Mthethwa clan. It's very important so that everything begins with who you are first before your roles that you are playing in the society. So going to, let's say from all the proceedings when they are done, I think the elders and the one that is chosen as an elder will begin again to address the ancestors, to say, now the body is going to be laid or maybe on the last, maybe the last room for him. But there should be again now the proceedings with ihubo. Meaning the family clan song. These are the songs to savor as a humanity because they carry us through different stages. As I said earlier, that ihubo now of Mthethwa, the importance of it is exactly on the wedding day, where maybe the bride is considered to have died on that day in his family, and now going to wake up again to start her own family. So now going to this maybe the tomb, there will be that song ihubo sekuyakhona, as I said earlier, so they would be using that song going to the last place. And then before anything happens, the elders again will then take all the incense and the izintelezi, the herbs, and sprinkle there. Now, the person now who is in the place of an elder that is supposed to be following all the procedures, they will have to take all the seeds from the different crops that the household has ever had, and they will put it inside their hands and tell him, wherever you are going, remember us. We don't want poverty in this house. May this land produce more, because maybe he had a gift of that. You know, and some of the things, his belongings that were really used on a daily basis, they can't be left like this, so they will be inside the tomb. The
tomb as well. And if we're looking at the role of men, if we're looking at the role of women, even at the gravesite itself, I know that there's also important customs and rituals that have to be observed. Perhaps take us into your confidence about what happens on that front as well. The clothing, the mourning period that also follows.
During this period, women working, maybe helping inside the household, and others are sitting surrounding the wife, making sure that they are giving her support. And sometimes they will start maybe conversations that have got nothing to do with the occurrence. We call it ubuzimazisa, being surrounded by people who are comforting you. And then whilst males from early morning, they just had to wait outside the household so that they will be given an instruction by the heir with a spear, as I said. Then, after that, they would dig the grave, and then the proceedings now with the Hubo coming to bury him now. But there are other things, and like the heir, again, will take the soil and give it into each and every relevant person, like the bloodline. I think it's equivalent to what the Bible, maybe the Christians will do, but in our culture, we'll just take the soil and then we sprinkle it on each and every member of the household, and then we begin to tell now. There will be a stage now where the elder will allow the members of the family to come and see him for the last time.
Okay.
And then the neighbors again for the last time.
All right. Mbuso, thank you for making that so clear. Obviously, as we pay our final respects to the late ambassador.
Yeah.
Prof. Mngomezulu, very good morning to you as well. I believe that you're also joining us virtually, and thank you for making time to chat with us. We really have been in conversation about the cultural aspects, the rituals undergone today, perhaps even since his passing. We also shine a spotlight on his political career, the impact he would have had for South Africa, the continent, of course, the globe as well. Talk to us about how, we've heard sentiments being echoed. He's been lauded by many people, including his colleagues, what his legacy entails, having started his political career at the age of 15 up until, his last breath on 30th of September 2025.
Good morning, Lizelle, and good morning to your viewers. Maybe let me start off by echoing the sentiments of all my other colleagues of sending condolences, first to the Mthethwa family, then to the ANC, and then obviously to the country at large for losing somebody of Nathi Mthethwa's stature. There are very few people right now who would emulate him and then do the kinds of things that he has done. I had the privilege of serving under him when he was Minister of Arts and Culture, when I was a council member in the Nelson Mandela Museum Council. I've known him to be a calm person, someone who was easily accessible. Lizelle, what normally happens when people get positions of power, they get drunk with power and they become inaccessible. This was not the case with Nathi Mthethwa. Even when we had events at the Nelson Mandela Museum, he would be easily accessible. You could interact with him, crack jokes with him. He was the kind of a person who knew what his mandate was, which was to serve the people. We have already mentioned that his political career started at the age of 15, and that is not characteristic of many other politicians. So basically, he cut his teeth in politics in the Youth League in 1982, and then he has been in politics since then. Some people were asking yesterday as to why he was associated with Clearwater and not necessarily with areas from the northern region of the ANC. It's very clear. It's very simple. Nathi Mthethwa was born in Lamontville and he spent his time in Clearwater, and then later on, of course, growing up in the Mthethwa area. So that explains then why most of his political activities happened in the southern part of KwaZulu-Natal and not necessarily in the northern part as others would expect. But yes, indeed, he was a calm man and a gentleman.
Prof, thank you for those remarks as well. I mean, if we just look back at his generation with in his time as the ANC Youth League as well, the leadership that they would have been accustomed to, right? This also occurred at a time when the country was transitioning from apartheid government to a democratic country as well. Perhaps we could speak about that period, the mark he would have also played, obviously then becoming a cabinet minister, having done the head of Minister of Police, Minister of Arts and Culture. And we do know that a saint is a sinner who's tried. We've heard those sentiments being, echoed. His tenure is also having been clouded by some controversy. Talk to us a little bit more about that equation as well.
Listen, it always helps if you are a politician but you have a fallback position. Nathi Mthethwa prepared himself for the leadership position. We know that he did a diploma at the then University of Natal, which is now part of the University of KwaZulu-Natal. That was basically him just trying to do what others in his age group were doing, that is to capacitate himself for the life to come. And that came in handy when he then occupied the different positions. Not only did he do that diploma in community development, he also went further to do a certificate in engineering at UJ, and then later on he did another certificate in communication and leadership at Rhodes University. I've already counted 3 universities. Then ask yourself, how many of our politicians have done that? So that explains to you then why you are so articulate, because he had a grounding. But the transition you are referring to is very critical, because you had the apartheid government imposing the state of emergency, which resulted in him being arrested in 1989. And then, of course, he had a taste of the apartheid atrocities. And then thereafter, he continued with his activities, not only in the realm of politics, but also assisting workers. He was a shop steward at some point, assisting other workers, and then, of course, in the process, politicizing them, so to speak, so that at least they would contribute to whatever they could to the liberation struggle. It was not an easy moment. The transition was not an easy moment. We know by now that in 1989 was a breakthrough when F.W. de Klerk ascended to power as the leader of the National Party and then as the president. That thing started happening. Of course, he also faced his own problems within his own political party, but then, of course, that then marked the start of the process that would eventually lead to us moving to the current political dispensation, which was initiated by the Khoza talks. You talk about the Groote Minute, you talk about the Pretoria Minute, and then Khoza talks, and then subsequently our first democratic election in 1994. So Nathi Mthethwa then did not come into politics by mistake. He was prepared for that position, and then that's the point that Dr. Kikaba was also making earlier on, that they were together in the trenches in the Youth League, and then they transitioned together to come to the elder section of the ANC, and then they performed the different responsibilities they were tasked to perform by the ANC.
Prof, thank you for those sentiments. I just need to look at, some of the other procedures that we're looking at as the funeral continues. And I want to bring Mbuso back into the conversation because, following his role as Minister of Arts and Culture and Police as well, we obviously saw his role as an ambassador for South Africa to France. Just talk to us a little bit more about the cultural significance of having him back on home soil, and of course the spirituality that comes with that, but the mourning period that the family will also be entering, just as we wrap up very quickly.
For him to be brought up culturally and also with a spiritual significance, this will help the future generations, because this may not be practiced now and then later. Because what happens in nature has a way of coming back. You see a sun now, you see a darkness, it will come back. So let's say they did not fetch him in France. There were going to be problems, because his spirit will always cry because of the umbilical cord in his country. And that can be attested by the trillions of neurons in your gut that are enabling you to communicate where you come from. So this is that was a very, very important gesture. Coming into the mourning period, I know maybe others are wearing a black in that, but culturally there is what you call inkatha yomndeni or isilulu somndeni, where family members will cut off their hair and then put that together, and there's some other incense are put in there, and it forms a huge part of the family. But this came after the World War, I think 1 and 2, where they were mourning the soldiers who passed away. Now we also began to practice that black dress, but it's not us.
All right, Mbuso Khoza, Prof. Bheki Mngomezulu, thank you for being part of this special tribute, of course, here with a special broadcast for Nathi Mthethwa. He is going to be laid to rest. You can see on your screens there live visuals coming through from Gwambona and B, of course, at Sports Complex there, where he's going to be laid to rest. The burial taking place at the homestead as well. Reporters Samkele Maseko, anchor Bongiwe Zwane. We've also got a special contributor, Sophie Mukwena. They are standing by throughout the morning, really reflecting on his life and times. We looked at his political career, having started at the age of 15. Mbuso also, walked us through some of the cultural rituals that are also necessary as per the government protocol that comes with the special official funeral, Category 2, that's also set to be underway and accorded to him by President Cyril Ramaphosa. Stay tuned for that rolling coverage. There's more and more as we continue on the SABC. We'll be right back after this.